In this video we're going to explore a tip on building some different roof styles with Chief Architect. On my screen here you can see that I have some inset options on the left hand side with a gable, a shed roof, a shed with a curve, and a hip roof. You can use diagrams like this to help sell the concept to your clients, whether you're doing a remodeling project showing a before and after, and then giving some options to really help you sell the job. Some of your clients may not know the difference between a gable or hip or a 8 and 12 or a 12 and 12 pitch. So in this example, let's take a look at how we can set up some different options with the roof using an example. Let's go ahead and open up the program. And in this plan I have a main story first floor and a second floor. Second floor roof is not yet built, and if we open up the option to build our roof, there are several different styles of roofs that you can build with the program that are automatically generated. You can also manually customize that. So I'm going to show you a combination of these in the video. On our roof tab, there are several options that we can explore. The first one is I'm going to turn on automatic rebuild roofs. That means anytime I make a change to a wall, the roof will automatically generate. And in the pitch, I've got my set at a default of 6 and 12. Roof overhangs, roof heights, there are actually several options. If we explore the different tabs up here, you can set for your roofs. So I'm going to build this roof at a 6 and 12 pitch and the default hip roof, and as that does that, we can rotate around, and you can again use some of the automatic / manual tools in the lower left hand corner. I have a toggle down here that will change that to a gable, so I can click that and then rotate around. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So I could have done this in the dialog box, or I can do this with the tool down here and just toggle that to a gable roof. I could also open up the individual walls on that second story and change the pitch as well. On the second floor, on the left hand side of the house, is the master bedroom. This is where I want to add a little bit of variability to the roof. You can see on the right hand side are the options we're going to explore. And it can really make a dramatic difference on the way the house looks. Right now it is somewhat plain. And if you want to add a little bit more visual interest to the house, show it to your client, you can easily do that in the program. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to split my screen. And I just have a shortcut key here, Shift F6 to do that. I'm going to zoom into this area on the right hand side that would be our master bedroom over here. And then I'm going to generate a couple of exterior walls that will pop out and extrude that bedroom. So I'm going to use my wall tool and exterior wall, and we'll zoom in here a little bit more. And I'm just going to generate these two walls. And we'll just take that and pull it over, snap it over here. I've pre-drawn a couple of lines so I know exactly where to draw this wall for the purpose of the video. So you'll notice that when I completed that last wall, it automatically generated the hip roof. Remember, when we did the build roof for the second floor, I had an automatic hip roof selected, so it's going to generate the roof each time I make a change. Let's go ahead and grab these windows here, and I'm just going to copy that and actually cut and then paste using my shortcut keyboard on there. We'll just delete this other window. Okay, now the next step is let's go ahead and remove the wall that we would want to remodel and remove out of there. And if I want to create a gable style roof, you saw how I toggled that previously by selecting the wall using the toggle tool button. I'm going to show you a different way to do that. Select the wall, double click to open it, And on the roof structure tab of the wall, I can come in here and mark the full gable wall. The toolbar that I used previously is effectively doing the same thing. Select OK, and now that's going to regenerate the gable roof. The next step is to raise this gable wall up a couple feet above the other walls. So I'm going to select this area that might be a coffered ceiling or tray ceiling inside of this master bedroom. Again, double click, and in the structure I'm going to come in here for the ceiling. I'm going to change this ceiling from a 9-foot ceiling, or 109 inches, just to 139 inches. That's going to raise that up about 30 inches. Select OK. And what that's going to do for us is you can see that it has created a high gable wall on the front of the house. Now the next thing that we want to explore is creating a shed style roof. Shed style roof, to do that, let's go ahead and select the walls that would become a shed. And actually the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle this back to be a hip roof. Use the toggle button. And then I'm going to lower the pitch for the shed roof. So on this exterior outside wall, when I double click on it, on the roof pitch, I'm going to lower that to a 3 and 12. Notice that I can lower each roof plane on a per roof section as I need to. So I'm going to change that to a 3 and 12 pitch roof. And now I can select these walls that would actually be our shed walls. So I'm just going to group select those with the Shift key and double click to open those up. And you'll notice that, actually let's change the pitch of that also to be 3 and 12. There's a setting over here that has high shed gable wall. Check that, select OK. And now you can see that it automatically creates the shed roof for us. Now the next thing, if we take a look at our diagram on the right hand side, you can do manual roofs as well. So each one of these roof planes, you can click on it. There's a bunch of handles that you can resize, reshape it, and if you double click on that, you can also modify it. So I'm just going to select this to be a curved roof. There's an indicator down here in our dialog panel. Let's just pull that over here a little bit. And let's go ahead and at the ridge, notice there's a radius in here. I'm going to enter in a value of 0. And let's take a look and see what that does for us. So now I've created, let's go ahead and maximize our view, I've created a curve on that shed. Now let's tile our views and go back to our plan view and our 3D view. And in addition to the roof tools that we've just kind of showed you how to use, let's also explore a few of the other roof options. You're going to find, of course, custom ceiling planes. There's also a skylight tool. So let's go ahead and place a couple of skylights on this roof plane. And I'm going to come over here. Let's turn that layer on so we can see it. Let's place our first skylight. You can see this as I'm doing it in 3D. And let's zoom in and let's go ahead and click on the dimension, make that maybe a 4 foot. And then on the other dimension, typically you might do your framing on 2 foot centers, so we can select that and maybe make it 21 and a half inches, depending on what the rough is. I'm not necessarily promoting that you put a skylight on this curved roof for water drainage, but I'm just going to show you how this works. So now I've got my first skylight. I'm going to use the multiple copy tool down here. If you take a look and I click on this, I can actually change the interval, so I can copy that in this case at 2 foot on center, 24 inches. And if I zoom out, let's go ahead and just pull a series of copies along there. And now I can pretty easily create those. Let me just group select them because I may not have centered that when I drew the first one. I'm going to use the center tool. I'm going to click on the center of the room, and now those skylights are exactly centered. So again, if we broaden the 3D view, you can see what that might look like. In addition, let's go ahead and bring up our plan view. Let's add a dormer, and I might typically do this in a decorative fashion. I'm going to highlight the roof plane that I want to do this, and temporarily I'm going to display that in what would be considered the attic room in Chief Architect. So an attic room is simply something above the main floor in the case of this design. And I've got a tool down here that just says display on floor above. That's going to isolate that roof plane up on that floor. And if I move up to my floor indicator, up to the attic, you can now see that there's that roof plane. If I reference the floors, which you can see all of the walls below that. Let's go ahead and toggle that off. I used F9 as my shortcut key. So with the decorative dormer tool, we actually call it a floating, we have a floating dormer and we have a more of a structural dormer called the auto dormer. So I'm just going to use the structural dormer, come in here and place that somewhere on the roof plane. And as that does that, let's go ahead and pull our view over here a little bit. You can see what it looks like in 3D, and again you can use these dimension tools. So if I want to set that 5 feet off of the shed roof cutout, I can select that dimension and it will move it to be 5 feet. You can also click on the other dimensions if you want to highlight this. Let's say we want that to be 5 feet wide. You can select it. Any of those dimensions you can set up that way. Let's go ahead and move that back over now that we resized it. And all of the objects in Chief Architect are what we call smart objects. So you can modify all of the attributes about this, and that smart object's actually going to cut a hole in your roof plane, is going to frame correctly, and so each element in the design understands how it interacts with the model. So as I've double clicked on this dormer, I brought up the specification information about that, and again this is an example of all of the objects in the program you can modify. I'm going to choose the roof style as a barrel style, and you'll notice there are other options if you want to change the fascia, the window type, wall type. You can set all of those components in that dialog. And so I've made a couple of edits to this. I can come in here in the 3D view also and modify this. So you can do it in either view. Once you've got it selected, let's go ahead and use our copy tool, and let's just go ahead and drag a copy over, and we'll just place that off to the side. Let's go ahead and broaden our 3D view. Zoom out here a little bit. So that's adding a little bit of variability to the style of the roof. And if we actually, let's go ahead and bring up an elevation view. I'll just use my elevation camera. I can display that roof plane back down. So here's an elevation view of that as well. So a few roof tips to give you added characteristics you can show to your clients, help them understand what options may be for either a new construction or maybe more of a remodeling example, and add a little interest and maybe go out there and sell one more job. If you have questions about Chief Architect, I've actually been using a plan here. It's a sample plan off of our website called the Modern Bungalow. You can go there, you can download this plan, you can get a trial version of the program, open it up, and have fun. And if you have any questions, just give us a call or visit our website at chiefarchitect.com. Thanks.